uninterrupted and free service to the poorest of the poor.
Everybody, their style.
At the time of her passing, they had 610 missions in 123 countries, including hospices and homes for people with AIDS, leprosy, and tuberculosis. They had soup kitchens, children and family counseling, orphanages, and schools. For over 45 years, Mother Teresa ministered to the poor, the sick, the orphan, and the dying, while guiding the missionaries in their expansion beyond India. Mother Teresa stated that earthly rewards were only important if they help the world's needy. When Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize, she was asked, "What can we do to promote world peace?" And she answered, "Go home in the West," which was more difficult to remove. When I pick up a person from the street, hungry, I give him a plate of rice or a piece of bread, and I remove that hunger. But a person that is shut out, that feels unwanted, unloved, terrified, that person who has been thrown out from society, that poverty is hurtable, and so much, and I find that very difficult. She also singled out abortion as the greatest destroyer of peace in the world. In her lifetime, Mother Teresa was named 18 times in the yearly Most Admired Men and Women's Poll as one of the top women in the world. And she was first place in all major demographic categories. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zonta Club of Pateros Taguig has presented to you Mother Teresa of Calcutta, India. Tawakol Karman. Tawakol Karman, as depicted by Dana's Yuri, is a Yemeni journalist, politician, and senior member of the Islam political party. She was a human rights activist who headed the group Women Journalists Without Chains, which she co-founded in 2005. Tawakol Karman gained prominence in her country after 2005 in her role as a Yemeni journalist and an advocate for a mobile phone news service denied a license in 2007. Thereafter, Tawakol led protests for press and media freedom. She organized weekly protests after May 2007, expanding the issues for reform, and redirected the Yemeni protests to support the Jasmine Revolution, as she calls the Arab Spring. After the Tunisian people overthrew the government of Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in January 2011, she has been a vocal opponent who has called for the end of President Ali Abdullah Saleh's regime. Tawakol Karman became the international public face of the 2011 Yemeni uprising that is now part of the Arab Spring uprisings. Tawakol has been called by the Yemenis as the Iron Woman and Mother of the Revolution. She is the co-recipient of the 2011 Nobel Peace Prize, becoming the first Yemeni, the first Arab woman, and the second Muslim woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the youngest Nobel Prize human rights and freedom of our people. Danas Yuri, ladies and gentlemen, as tawa ko ang Carman.
From the Swat Valley of Pakistan, a region bordering northeast Afghanistan, a place defined by high mountains, green meadows, clear waters, and bloody conflict. By the age of 12, Malala was an activist. In 2009, she wrote a diary for the BBC, which described the atrocious deeds of the Taliban and advocated equal opportunities in education for women. In 2011, Malala was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize, and in December of that year, received Pakistan's first National Youth Peace Prize for her efforts. She also received death threats. Malala was repeatedly warned by the Taliban to be silent, to immediately discontinue her public criticisms, and to stop speaking out for the rights of an obviously inferior gender. In the eyes of the Taliban, Malala and all women were to submit and accept their place in the order of things. But Malala was not silent. On October 9, 2012, as Malala Yousafzai and other girl students were riding home from school, armed gunmen halted the vehicle and opened fire. 2 other girls were seriously wounded. Malala was shot in the head.
Malala Yousafzai, born on the 12th of July, 1997, is a school student and education activist from the town of Mingora in Swat district of Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. She's known for her education and women's rights activism in the Swat Valley, where the Taliban had at times banned girls from attending school. In early 2009, at the age of 14, Yousafzai wrote a blog under the pseudonym for the BBC, detailing her life under Taliban rule, their attempts to take control of the valley, and her views on promoting education for girls. The following summer, a New York Times documentary was filmed about her life as the Pakistani military intervened in the region, culminating in the Second Battle of Swat. Yousafzai began to rise in prominence, giving interviews in print and on television, and taking a position as chairperson of the District Child Assembly Swat. She has since been nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize by Desmond Tutu and has won Pakistan's first National Youth Peace Prize. A number of prominent individuals, including the Canadian Minister of Citizenship, are supporting a petition to nominate Yousafzai for the Nobel Peace Prize. On October 9, 2012, Yousafzai was shot in the head and neck in an assassination attempt by Taliban gunmen while returning home on a school bus. In the days immediately following the attack, she remained unconscious and in critical condition, but later her condition improved enough for her to be sent to a hospital in the United Kingdom for intensive rehabilitation. On 12 October, a group of 50 Islamic clerics in Pakistan issued a fatwa against those who tried to kill her, but the Taliban reiterated its intent to kill Yousafzai and her father, Ziauddin.
Which one of you is Malala? Speak up. Otherwise, I will
cultural shackles which imprison them. Malala Yousafzai was the enemy. To the Pakistani Taliban, her words were as dangerous as any weapon of warfare because they challenged the order of things, because they insisted that fanatical men did not deserve to be the masters of her world, because they were spoken by a defiant, free, female voice. For this, the Pakistani Taliban declared war on a little girl because she was the symbol of the infidels and obscenity. But Malala did not die. She escaped death by and her recovery has inspired millions across the planet. Among the first public photos of Malala's recovery is this one, the young girl reading a book, a symbol of the very education the Taliban wishes to deny. Schools have been renamed for her. Petitions for girls' education are being circulated in her honor. And for the moment, millions of eyes are opened to the brutal, cowardly, oppressive cultures that seek to keep women's rights, to keep human rights under their boot. Malala Yousafzai's story is a compelling one. Unfortunately, it is not a new story. Every day, atrocities like this are committed around the world. And for thousands of years, tyrants have been terrified that those under their control will rise up and wield the most dangerous weapon of all, an idea. This is a critical moment. This horrific act of violence and oppression charges us to take a long, hard look at things and decide that we cannot, we will not stand quietly as our fellow human beings are tortured and executed for the crime of thinking for themselves. That we refuse to be threatened into submission, and that we will not stop fighting until those oppressed are physically and intellectually free. Thank you, Malala, for showing us how powerful a single voice can be, for providing an example of real courage, and for reminding us that the fight for human rights is not the responsibility of any one person, but is instead the responsibility of us all.
I know the importance of education because my meds and my books were taken from me by force. In January 2009, the Taliban restricted my education and told girls they weren't allowed to go to school anymore. I can't tell you how saddened I was by this, and this was the worst point of my life. The